Can I tell you to break clean, watch yourself at all times, shake hands now, may the best man win. Good luck to both of you. Round one, that was the bell.
Speed called by very excellent, the Underground Heavyweight Champion.
Welcome in to another episode of That's Boxing Podcast. We are still alive.
We're back.
We're back live in the flesh in the studio.
The long, cold winter is over. The heat has returned.
We have returned. The Phoenix riseth.
We're back.
Well, I feel like first thing we got to jump into is congratulations, Coach,
Yes, sir.
on a victory last night, hard earned by Aaron Thompson.
Yes,
awesome
sir.
fight.
Yeah, hell of a night in the office, man. Great fight, great main event. They really brought the main event energy.
Yeah.
You know, props to the opponent, Alvarado. He showed up. He made it the distance, got up from a knockdown and everything. And, it gave us the fight we needed and allowed my fighter to shine, man. And it was fantastic. Great fight, great adjustments, great boxing, great ring generalship. Watching all our hard work come to fruition in the ring like that was just really, really special. So I'm happy day today for sure.
Hell yeah. Yeah, I thought Aaron looked cold, polished, professional, dropped the dude. Dominated the majority of the rounds, was turning and burning, and
No
looked
doubt.
defensively sound, but also aggressive, putting a ton of combinations together, working the jab constantly. Dude looked absolutely flustered and in deep water the entire time.
Yeah, Aaron overcome some resistance. You want this for a young fighter in his career to have some tough fights. He got clipped here and there, but he overcame it. We were just watching a little bit of that Spence when Spence got taken care of by Crawford, and you see Crawford got hit a few times in that.
Yep.
Everybody remembers just the picture of Spence on the ground with his face swole up. But, Crawford got caught with some overhands here and there, and he got hit clean, but he just had his composure and he kept boxing and kept dominating. So, we're never going to tell a kid you're going to come through unscathed. If you're coming through without getting hit at all, it might be too soft of a touch. Like, Aaron's last fight, it was over in the first round. He doesn't get a lot of experience value out of just steamrolling a guy.
Yeah. No, this looked like experience. Like you say, got caught in transition a couple times, clean shot, stuck his tongue out at him. Like you could tell the dude was tough and he was coming for him, and the pace was fast, right? You could tell, like, okay, this is a new world, and I gotta step on the gas to keep it going.
Absolutely.
But he did.
Great learning lesson fight for him. Great level up. So for his fourth fight, he beats an undefeated fighter. It incredibly increases his value in the sport with his experience and his stock. And I'm sure the call-outs are going to be coming, and we're going to, have more tough fights. But that's what you want,
Hell yeah. Yeah, keep it going from here.
Absolutely.
So anyone local in the Portland area, Arena Wars fights, we'll keep you posted on the next one. But
I think we're looking at April back in Clackamas.
Nice.
No opponent as of yet, obviously, but, I think that's the next date.
Mm-hmm. All right. Beautiful. Well, congratulations. Congrats to AJ, too.
I'm glad you were there, man.
AT.
It's always good to see the squad in the building,
Yeah. It was nice. Nice to drive down.
First time we've seen each other in like a month. And,
I know, it's been forever. So we haven't even caught up on your travels abroad. You're an international celebrity now.
Well, you're an interstate traveler.
Yeah. Oh, great. Salt Lake City, Utah, and London, basically the same place.
It's interchangeable.
Yeah.
Yeah, man. London. I guess I was a week early for the Ring Magazine dinner that went down.
Oh, right. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
when
yeah.
I was like in the airport and I'm looking at Instagram and I'm seeing all these fighters like arriving.
They waited for you to leave.
And I'm like, what the fuck? You guys wait for me to leave to put the party on? I got a nice suit. I could come.
Right.
But yeah, London was fantastic, man. A great trip with my wife. And then we did a lot of tourist stuff. I did the castles and went out to Oxford and saw all the architecture and went to the museums and then the shops and the bazaars and the markets, and we had a great time. It was really nice. And then the second week she was working, which is why we went. And then I found a boxing gym. So I was at the Fitzroy Lodge boxing gym, established in 1908.
The Lodge.
Yeah,
That's
the Lodge.
quite
Coach Mark invited me in there, and he let me train with their team. I don't think they wanted to smoke because they said I couldn't spar. I don't know what that's all about. And I'm,
Their liability insurance doesn't cover.
They don't cover international
old Americans.
Yeah.
But
But
they don't have healthcare.
They had a real live team in there. At that gym, David Hay, the haymaker, he came out of that gym. What's her name? Salim Ali, the girl, the lady boxer, lightweight, last name Ali. She came out of that gym. It's one of those just vintage gyms right on the south side.
My favorite thing you posted was that clock on the wall.
Oh my God.
Like, it looked like all you could see all the inner workings and everything. You said it just every 3 minutes. It just
Yeah.
No matter what, just went off.
It's all day. I was there for 3 days. It's just on the whole time. So whatever you're doing, you're jumping rope, you're using that clock. You're shadow boxing, using that clock. Stretching,
so cool.
sparring, whatever. They're all using the same clock. And I looked up that clock. So I wanted to find something like that to have back here, and they don't do. One company makes one similar to that, but it doesn't look quite the same, and it's like hundreds and hundreds of dollars, and it doesn't have that same cool vintage look. So I'm like, I'm gonna have to build one.
I like the idea of living your life in like increments like that. Like it makes in the gym, right? It's like you said, everything you're doing is 3 minutes. Like what can you do in 3 minutes? And then it's like a reminder every time it goes off. Like, okay, you just burned 3 minutes. What was it? Good use of time? Yeah. Was it? Should you change up?
Honestly, I use that sometimes when I'm in a stressful situation, like stuck in traffic or waiting on a flight or something. Mm-hmm. I try not to think about it like 2.5 hours. I'm like, just one round at a time, man.
Right.
What am I going to do for the next 3 minutes? I'll read. Right. You know, or I'll find a place to charge my phone, or you just focus on what you can do this next round, which is actually what I used as a coaching tactic last night in Aaron's fight. Because when a fight gets hot and emotional like that, whether we're scoring the knockdowns or whatever, or we're losing a round, because honestly, I think we lost the second round. It doesn't matter. You're great at talking about this. Boxing is not one big thing. It's in our situation last night. It was 6 different fights.
Right.
6 3-minute fights.
Right.
Judged independently of each other. So I was in his ear every round, 1 round at a time. 1 round at a time. Stick to the game plan. On the outside, use his jab and circle. On the inside, use your shifts and turn. Mm-hmm. You know, stick to the game plan. Don't try to knock him out with the right hand, because he was trying to.
Yeah.
1 round at a time. And I told him, it's not going to be the right hand that's going to knock this guy out. You're not going to hurt him with the right hand. It's going to be the left hook. And that's what it ended up being as the rounds progressed. That left hook couldn't miss. But, you know, you gotta remind these guys 3 minutes at a time. And just like life, you know, 3 minutes at a time. Or whatever increments you choose. You know, I'm an amateur, I guess, so it's 2 minutes for me. But, you know.
Because your time's running out.
Yeah. Clock's ticking, champ.
Now, there's an interesting thing. You know, it's playoff football right now, which I know doesn't mean anything to you.
I don't know what that is.
Un-American, because you're an expat now. But, you know, they say in football, like, you can't win it all back in one play, right? Because you're down 2 scores. You can't score twice in one possession, right? It's just impossible. But boxing is maybe the only sport where you can get it all back with one punch. Because if you knock the other person out, that's it. But so it's such a trap, right? Of how are you going to game plan around? Like, you should take it 1 score at a time, 1 touch at a time, 1 round at a time, just like how the saying goes in football. You can't get it all back in 1 score. But you kind of know in the back of your head you can, but that game planning for that, you tend to let the round slip away.
Yeah, we all can't be all Gervonta Tank Davis and be like, I'll just knock him out whenever I kind of find it.
Yeah.
And I'll find it, you know.
And be completely nonchalant about it. Let every round slip until that point.
Yeah, and, you know, as a coach, you got to honestly be like, okay, we lost all these rounds. It's the last round. Now you say, kid, you got to knock this guy out.
Right.
And we hear that sometimes in the corners. I've never had to say that, but you hear it, you know, and you see it on TV, like, hey, man, this is now or never. You know, you want to fucking win or not, you have to knock him out.
And that's honesty.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's the case where you're at right then in the fight, that's what you want to hear.
That's why I told Aaron in the 6th round, coming into the 6th round, I said, you know, I remind him, hey, he's going to try to come get it back right now. Because I'm thinking about what his coach might be telling him. Right. And what I would be telling my fighter, honestly, we're down. You got to go get it. Mm-hmm. Get a knockdown at least, you know. And so I figured Alvarado would come out hot. So I said, start smart. He's going to try to come get it back. Don't let him take it back. Stick to the game plan 1 round at a time.
Yeah.
And he did. He still was beautiful boxing all the way to the end. So great fight. Great night in the office. But, you know, back to London, man. The Fitzroy Lodge, great boxing gym. But I tell you, I got motherfucking pneumonia while I was there.
You got pneumonia?
Yeah.
God, speaking of not having much time left.
I know, dude.
Jesus.
But good thing I'm strong. I got good, strong lungs.
How did you get, like...
Well, I was doing a lot of road work, and it's like 38 degrees.
Okay.
And I'm like running up and down the River Thames, you know. It's just sucking in all that fucking dirt water.
It's like the
mists of Avalon or something. I don't know.
You get water in your lungs?
Dude, I mean, the night before we flew home, because the whole trip I felt great. The night before we flew home, started coughing. Then I got the chills and I got the fevers.
Oh, man.
And I'm like, oh, this will be great for a 10-hour flight home tomorrow.
Right.
And so, but I made it. I made it back. Suffered for about a week. I'm trying to train. I got a little Masters fight in about 2 fights in a month. And I'm just, bro, I just can't stop coughing. I can't.
Still?
No, back, you know.
Okay.
You know, January 12th or whatever it was. So I went to the doctor, and they were like, "Yeah, it looks like you're recovering from pneumonia." I was like, "Recovering?
Jesus.
Well, I guess I'm on the mend."
Yeah.
That's what I've been suffering with. They're like, "Yeah, you got some shit in your lungs."
Can they shoot you up with some steroids or something?
They gave me some antibiotics.
Okay.
And I'm
they don't drug test you for these Masters fights,
dude,
right?
we could be juiced to the gills.
Yeah, we got to get you some tren, just get you going here.
Yeah, I'm trying out that creatine, man. Just trying to get
I think we're gonna get you in a new ballpark than creatine. I think we can do better than that.
Give me the real shit.
Yeah,
give me that Victor Conti fucking.
That's what we need. Some snacks,
cream
brother.
in the clear.
Yeah,
Yes, sir.
Before you know it, Devin Haney will be suing you.
Well. Yeah, man, I had a great trip. I got my boxing in. I overcame the sickness when I got home, and right back to normal. It almost feels like a dream, dude. But
Yeah.
It was cool, man. Riding the tube and fucking.
Look at you.
I mean,
Using words like the tube.
yeah, dude.
I don't even know you anymore.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
Eating crumpets.
I didn't have any crumpets, but we did have high tea at one day.
Is that just when you have tea at noon?
Yes.
Is that where we get high noon from?
Dude.
You know?
Damn.
I think it is. We're like, fuck this tea shit.
Damn.
But we're going to be high noon. What is crumpets like a cookie?
I think it must be. I might have had one I didn't even know.
What?
When you get high tea, they give you this like 3-tiered tray of sandwiches and pastries, and then you.
What the fuck? A crumpet is a small, round, spongy griddle bread that originated in Britain. This looks like a English muffin.
Doesn't sound great.
That's what it looks like. Unsweetened batter of water or milk, flour, and yeast.
Yeah, I mean, it sounds like British food.
Was I correct about British food? What I said?
I don't know if I ever had any like British food. No, that's not true. We had a pasty. It's just like a meat, fucking like it's like a pastry full of meat and potatoes and stuff.
That's potato. All right,
That was good, actually.
that was good. Okay.
It was like we got that out in Oxford.
Did you get beans for breakfast?
No, I never had the traditional breakfast. We did have like some pub food, and they served just like boiled peas on the side, like instead of fries or whatever. And you're just like, what the?
All right, that's healthy though.
I'm like, yeah,
Put some salt on
this
there.
is mushy peas.
Wow, why does it gotta be mushy?
They're like boiled.
That's how you boil. How do you cook peas?
Not till and they're big dogs, not the little ones.
Oh, you're talking. Okay, I thought you were talking about like little green peas.
No, these are like the size of a pistachio.
Oh no, thank you. Yeah, I'll pass on that.
Yeah, the good thing about London is, it's very ethnically diverse. So there's lots of worldly food, and you're a little closer to where it originated from. So like, Italian food is like Italy's just sort of
True.
right over there.
True.
So the Italians are a little bit more Italian. Italian Americans. They're
Right.
a little closer to the source. So we had some really good Italian food. I had some really good Spanish food.
Indian food is good over there.
Yeah, we had some good. I don't know if we had. Oh, we did.
Yeah.
That shit was good.
Yeah. Every time I go to England, I just eat Indian food the whole time. That's the secret.
But meanwhile, while I've been internationally traveling, you've been over in Utah,
Where I am the ethnic diversity of the state.
as a non-Mormon individual.
I'm the most diverse person there.
Wow.
I tell you, man, Portland, I'm moving here from the Bay Area, from the East Bay, Oakland. You're like, okay, yeah, this is less diverse. This is, walking into a lot of rooms where like it's 100% white. And then I go to Salt Lake City, and I'm like, oh, Portland is like a fantastic tapestry of the human experience. It's intense over there.
Yeah.
But it's nice. They do have like 50 Mount Hoods. Like we have one mountain here, and we're like, oh, it's beautiful, it's magnificent. But you go there, and it's 360 Mount Hoods.
Yeah.
Each one connected to the
Yeah.
I mean, it's crazy.
Yeah, I rode my motorcycle through there once or twice, a couple road trips, and you're just like, oh, yeah, this is some really beautiful country.
It's nice.
But it's rough and rugged out there, though.
Yeah.
It's been cold as shit, I imagine.
It's been cold. It's been very cold. A lot of snow. Yeah. But, it's what gets me the most is how dry it is. I turn, the fucking, whatever people in Game of Thrones that turn into like stone. That's what I look like when I'm out there.
Moisturize.
Dude, I try, but I don't want. I'm a grown man. I don't need to buy moisturizer. It's 88% humidity in Portland all the
Yeah,
time.
no, we just stay moist.
Yeah, I look like a fucking reptile when I leave there. It's awful.
Man, well, we didn't have to pod too hard because there wasn't a whole lot of boxing. We missed the Jai Opatai fight, which we can catch up on.
True. That was a good one.
Last night Pacheco fought, and the night before Inoue fought. So there's been a little bit of action, but for the most part, the sport of boxing has been in a bit of a quiet zone.
No, this was a well-timed break.
Absolutely.
For sure. That's what we were after.
But we'll never leave you hanging that long again, folks. We promise. I promise from the deep depths of my boxing heart that
I'm sure we will.
We might have to.
I'm sure it's going to happen.
I'm totally
again.
lying.
But you know what? Absence makes the heart grow fonder. That was our intention.
Yep.
So let's get into it. Let's talk a little boxing.
Let's do what we were born to do. Let's talk about boxing.
Seriously. So you mentioned Inoue. Inoue. I'm going to try to really get... This is my resolution for 2024. I'm going to start hitting these names, brother. I'm going to have...
Well, how do you know you're doing it right?
You know, this is what I do. I watch the replay of that because I'm not going to wake up at 1 a.m. And it was on the Japanese broadcast. So I'm going to start original language broadcasting all the fights to pick up on how they say the name.
Okay, so I would say Naoya Inoue.
Yeah, Inoue. I think it's like you got to stress
emphasis on the O.
I think so. That
would make sense.
Listen, this is my resolution, but I haven't really committed to it yet. Okay, so it's a work in progress.
I like when a broadcaster, like Timothy Bradley or something, switches how they say a name like 3 times during the night.
Yeah.
You know, they just grasping at straws trying to figure out how to say this. Just
I like when they switch to like their first name or their nickname because they just know they can't pronounce the.
When it's a guy like Kabalaskas or whatever, you're like, okay, buddy, we need a nickname.
Just call him Kabi.
But yeah, the monster. We can call him the monster.
In
a way.
He KOs Jun Kim, who beckoned him to come in, backed himself in the corner, and got KO'd about 2 seconds afterwards.
Oh man,
pretty rough to watch.
Did you see the betting odds on that? It was like minus 1,600 for a KO.
For the KO in the first 6 or whatever.
Hardly any value on any way of that fight.
Yeah.
And if it would have been upset, it would have been like upset of the lifetime of century.
I saw our good friend and now your British compatriot Eddie Hearn just had some strong words like why should Inoue get to duck his mandatory 3 times? His resume is pretty shit. Inoue's very disappointing as a champion. Time to be taken out of the pound for pound list.
Wow, Eddie. Well, that's his job. He's a promoter. He needs to promote this fight. He wants his guy in there.
Yeah.
Akhmadaliev.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's ducking anybody. We can blame Goodman on the delay.
Yeah, the cut that they thought he'd come back from sooner, but yeah.
You could say that Goodman stalled in a way, but he still fought 4 or 5 times last year.
Yeah, but who's he fighting? I think that's the point. Like, does this fight count? Kind of shouldn't.
This one was a lot like the one with TJ Doheny, who's got his back broken.
Right.
You know, it's like, okay, you know,
it's something. You fought.
Yeah, but I mean, how is this guy? You know, he at this rate, he's going to end up being like a Julio Cesar Chavez, and he's going to be a guy who's going to be like 89-1 or something by the time he retires. You know, he's going to really rack up some fights. You know, Canelo's got 60-something fights. Tell me who his first 20 fucking opponents were.
True, but we're past that stage, right?
Well, certainly, yeah.
Yeah, he's at the top. I think at this point, what you want to see is less sanctioning bodies or more cohesion between the sanctioning bodies of the rankings, so that they're like the IBF is always like way off from the other bodies, right? And then you just want to say, look, like you got to make 2 mandatory defenses a year. And if you want to fight additional fights for voluntary defenses, that's fine, but you got to do 2 from the rankings every year or we strip you. That would kind of put some pressure on the system to move faster. But
is he still holding the undisputed all 4 belts?
I believe he is.
So how do you please 4 different sanctioning bodies if they have...
Well, that's why I started with you want to see some more uniformity.
Yeah, he's going to have to because, you know, during the course of the year, you can't please everybody from all 4 sanctioning bodies, especially because they all have their own interests at heart to try to make their money and promote their fighters. So,
well, right, they all want their 2%, so they're not going to strip you, as we've seen, right? The IBF's kind of the only one that's shown itself to just, we'll take that back. You know, because presumably they lost 2% of the, or whatever it is. I'm just making up 2%. It's some small fee. I'm sure they're all fluctuate of the of Fury Usyk too. Right, which is like pretty weird move, but you got to kind of respect him for keeping it moving.
Yeah, I mean, well, this just shows that there's no uniformity. One organization is more strict about things. The other ones are just looking out for the money. I don't know. Well, Turkey, he's trying to make things happen. He's trying to just take over the system and and put it all in one basket. You know.
Yeah, I appreciate it. I don't think it's necessarily a bad idea, but you know, when you have a dictatorship, you might have a benevolent dictator, which is good, but then that dictator can go south, and then you know the power concentrates and corrupts.
Yeah. So did you see who was in attendance in London after I left? As soon as they knew that the real troublemaker was out of town, they figured it was safe to bring all these champions into town.
Dude,
they didn't want to run into me over at the lodge and get some rounds, you know what I'm
right?
saying?
And get that truth.
Yeah,
speaking of truth to power.
They had 2 rings there. I'd take care of business in 1 ring. I'll slide over and you warm up. I'll come take care of you.
All in
ring.
3 minutes time.
You just keep that ring bell running because I'm gonna just take care of business. No, but for real. I think what's interesting, not so much who was there, because there was a lot of guys there. Who wasn't there?
Who wasn't there?
Tyson Fury wasn't there.
Well, he's retired.
Yeah, that's true.
Breaking news, by the way.
Yeah, we got a lot of news to talk about.
Yeah, Tyson Fury retired for the fourth time, I think.
I think this is 6.
This is 6?
Yeah.
Okay, 6th time.
Yeah.
So this one's for real, obviously. Once you do something 5 other times and you undo it, everyone knows now it's for real.
He's a total diva, man. This is like, you know, he'll be back for another.
You think so for the AJ fight?
I hope so. You know,
so much money. How do you not do it?
Yeah.
You think he still beats AJ?
I think he can. Yeah.
Can or does?
I think they're both not shot, but diminished.
Right.
At this point, and I it'd be a pick 'em fight for me. I mean, I don't think he's gonna knock Joshua out, but I think he can frustrate him and outbox him.
Yeah. I mean, I'd still pay to watch that fight.
Of course,
still a good fight.
Of course.
Well, last night, Andy Cruz outpoints Omar Salgado for a unanimous decision. He's I didn't realize this. He's 4th ranked. We were just talking about the rankings. 4th ranked WBA contender in line for Tank. He's someone whose name we don't really throw around that often in the same sentence as Gervonta. But
yeah.
I could see that fight. I mean, they belong. They belong in the same sentence now. I'm curious to see where Cruz goes.
I think Cruz has got a one-way ticket to Keyshawn Davis town, and that's the only fight I want.
If Keyshawn gets through Brenchek?
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I think their eventual clash in the professional ranks.
Yeah.
If it was for a title, wow, that's a huge fight. Big money headliner.
Yeah.
With a lot of drama on the line. And, man, you know, that would be a tough fight for Davis.
I agree. I think Cruz's path of being the Cuban amateur style, defensive, and then going to fight in Philly, or going to train in Philly with Boots' father, who's added aggression to his game. And even at the end of this fight says, I think he could have stopped him. He should have stepped on the gas a little more, right?
Yeah.
It's like, yeah, that's a good recipe right there.
And, you know, for Davis, that's right across the river, man.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, Newark to Philly.
Yeah, that's just a bridge away, really.
Yeah.
And, you know, it's not like Cruz is hiding in some other country and he's going to have to, I mean, I'm sure they hear about each other, sparring sessions that they avoid, you know, local events that they make sure they don't, you know, they're on a collision course.
Yeah.
I saw a clip they wouldn't shake hands last night. You know, he wouldn't dap him up after Cruz won the fight. You know, that shows me there's still some animosity. They haven't quite matured past what happened in the amateurs. And they're gonna have to handle business in the pro ranks. And I'm really looking forward to that. I think that happens before a Davis fight for sure.
I mean, that would make sense.
I mean, Davis has made it clear that he's got 1 foot out the door, anyways.
Yeah, a lot of these top guys not looking to cement their legacies in any way to make those type of fights, right? To say I beat the best, and you know, who am I to fault him for it? But their head's elsewhere, and he's making money fighting other people, so he doesn't really have to do it.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes you watch a fight where a guy, you know, they put it all on the line, like a Crawford Spence, and nobody wants to be the Spence in that story.
Yeah.
You know, and it's the promoters don't want their fighter to be a Spence in that story, you know, because now his career is derailed. In breaking news, he is not fighting Sebastian Fundora.
Yep, I know. We're going to get into that. But also last night, Pacheco kind of looked human, I would say, winning a unanimous decision over Steven Nelson, Crawford's gym mate, older guy who kind of came back in the last couple rounds. And
yeah,
put it on
he's the
him.
one who had the jeans on his shorts from last time. I had the pocket, the low riders,
yeah.
with the low riding jorts.
That was so wild.
The lowrider jorts with
Yeah.
the fucking plaid looking print for the boxers.
And he designed them, I believe, right? He was very proud of that.
Hell yeah. Those were hard, man.
That's
I mean,
something.
if you're gonna do sagging pants, though, you can't do like knee length shorts. It just doesn't work.
But it looked good. Like it looked like at first I was like, "Is this dude sagging jean shorts out here?" And then it's like, "Oh, right, it's all printed on."
Yeah,
right.
Yeah. I thought that was kind of silly, but he made a great account. He's tough, you know. In this kind of fight, Pacheco needed, you know.
Yeah.
Good fight, good war.
How old is Pacheco? He's young, right?
Yeah, he's in his mid-20s.
Mid-20s?
Mid to late 20s, I think. He's got kids and shit now, I think.
Yeah, he's got a...
Fact check. Dust with the keyboard over here. You got to make it happen.
Why is my box rack not coming up?
Oh, man. They probably blocked us because we talk too much shit.
What's his first name? I thought it was David.
No.
Well, I mean, there's just too many
Diego.
Davids. Diego.
Which is like the Spanish David. Like Josh down. I would be Josue.
Yeah, he's 23. Yeah, he's a young guy. He just when I feel like most of the time I watch him fight, I go, this guy's pretty good, and he just needs to get better. You know, and then people immediately are just like, okay, him and Canelo, and I'm like, whoa, why does it
Yeah.
settle down?
Yeah. Oh, Canelo.
Well, kind of caught up on the fights the past couple of days. Not a lot of fights that have been made. I feel like this is the past month. Well, you got something?
We got to talk about Jai Opatai.
Oh, yeah?
Real quick.
Yeah?
Talk about looking human.
You thought he looked human in that?
He got rocked in the early round.
He got rocked before, but he was dominant.
But then he recovered, and then the spectacular finish.
Yeah.
Like, wow. So what's that? I mean, this is cruiserweights.
Mm-hmm.
And is this the new Usyk in the division? Is he going to clear out the cruiserweights, put on these epic stoppages, and then make that move, you know?
Yeah, you think, I mean...
Make that move up.
That's what's rough about cruiserweight, because it just looks like you're just kind of looking at everybody there going, okay, so are you going to be heavyweight?
Yeah.
Like, it doesn't get respect as its own division.
Right.
You know?
I thought he looked fantastic in there, though, and, you know, it's a hell of a performance. What else happened? That was an Australia card. There's something else happened on that card, too. I think there was a Maloney. There's always a Maloney in Australia.
Yeah, there always has to be.
But I thought that was a great knockout because there was some animosity leading up to that fight.
Yeah.
And I was like, damn, man. Like I thought like this dude was getting too emotionally invested. And then he went out there and took care of business. But you know, when he got wobbled, I said, "Oh shit, this is what I thought was going to happen." You get a little too emotional about this, and you hang your chin out there in the wind,
And like being too cocky.
yeah, being too aggressive, not boxing smart, because you're like, "I'm gonna fuck this guy up," and like, no, dude, you got to box, and then you can hurt him after you establish your jab and your combination. But
He did, and I mean, it was only the fourth round. He just
well, the
took him
referee
out.
was like, he could have stopped it a little. He should have dove in there, you know,
Probably.
got
Yeah,
his body in the way, because there was a punch on the way down that didn't really need to happen.
It was pretty vicious.
Yeah, great puncher. But yeah, okay. So back to news. Keep me up to date. You might know more than me.
Well, I just got all these planets in orbit, all these potential fights that keep circling and back and forth. And then we got fights like the, Gervonta fight, like off and on and back on. And then they throw out a date and he posts, I'm not fighting. And it's like, what's actually happening? What fights can we hang our hat on? Obviously, we've got a couple fights coming up next weekend, which we should get into and talk about. But these are all the fights that are circling that we keep hearing about. I think top of my list is Boots and Stanionis. There's no date for this yet, but this looks like the fight that's going to come through out of all of the potential ones, which would be a unification fight at 147, and which is strange because Boots was saying, "Hey, I'm done at 147. I got to move up." He was going to fight. He was linked to Ortiz. Like, this seems like the fight that's actually going to get made, though.
Yeah, it's a good fight. But Stanionis been a little inactive. He had his problems trying to fight with Ortiz and the cancellations there. And then he had his own health issues at one point or some kind of injury. So, I don't know, man. That's not an easy fight. And especially if you're struggling to make 147. Maybe he's just trying to get one more notable win in the division before he moves up.
He said he's dead set on unifying, which is kind of funny to me because I'm like, so you want 2 belts before you leave the belts and go to another weight class? Like, I don't know. To me, it would be like unification or bust.
Well, and the belt he has now was just a vacated belt that he got the email on, right?
Boots?
Yeah.
Is that right?
Yeah, that's a vacated Crawford belt that he defended twice, but didn't have to take off a body.
Who has titles at 147? I don't even know.
Well, then since Crawford moved on, it's just turned into a big old mess.
Stanionis, Barrios, Brian Norman,
And Boots.
That's a funny little group.
Yeah, I mean that's not a marquee list of names right there. I mean, Boots is the only guy who can probably light up a headlining show there.
All right, so my point is, if you're not planning to knock out 3 fights and take all those belts and become undisputed, what's the point of unifying and then vacating?
Right.
I don't know. It just seems weird, especially like you said, if you're struggling to make 147. But I do appreciate making the best of the best in the weight class in which you actually fight, because constantly people are throwing out these absurd fights where people are supposed to jump 2 or 3 weight classes to fight the very best. It's like, these people are not in the same weight class.
Yeah, that's just like the celebrity culture of boxing. That's the reality TV version of boxing, where people want to see the most famous people stand next to each other and punch each other.
Right.
Where they think the value of a fighter is attached to his fame, which it shouldn't be. It should be attached to his resume and his skill. So, Stanionis is certainly not a Crawford or a Canelo, but he's going to get in there and make a good fight of it. And, he's a belt holder and a legitimate belt holder. And, I guess unified sounds better than just champion by itself. Unified champion.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with it.
It's like halfway to undisputed. It's like a half marathon.
Halfway to undisputed is a funny way to.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I saw some comedian, so I ain't gonna say like this is my joke, but he's like, we got to stop celebrating things you do halfway. Like, I ran a half a marathon. Like, okay, like I fucking did half of my chores. Like,
right.
Like, fucking do the whole thing or don't talk about it. I get it, right? It's a dumb joke, but still halfway to undisputed.
Yeah, I mean, we don't celebrate a lot of halves,
right?
Unless you got to have a name, like a carved out name. Like we call a half marathon. Half marathon is a thing in and of itself.
Yeah, I did a half a boxing match.
Right. Yeah, I'm trying. Yeah. But best of the best. I don't know. Interesting fight. I personally think Boots is overrated. That's no shot at all because he's a phenomenal boxer. But people talk like he's the greatest ever, and Crawford ducked him and all this kind of stuff. And I'm like, I don't know. Did you see the last fight? I think dude looks, speaking of human.
I think there might be some handlers that are making a lot of decisions for him. Whether it be his dad or his team, his management, whatever it is. Because he seemed a little conflicted in his post-fight speech about his weight. I'm done with this weight, but I want to fight everybody, and then I'll do this, and then shooting down the fight with Virgil. I didn't say I wanted to do that, and then now staying at the weight class, it's just like,
And 154 is just a way deeper division right now. 147 is kind of a ghost town, and it just seems like you might as well move up. And I mean, look, you got Terrence Crawford, Spence, Fundora, Virgil Ortiz,
Tim Tszyu,
Moratayev, Tim Tszyu. Like, there's just
who's the kid who beat Tszyu?
That's him, right? Isn't that Bakram
Moratayev?
See, this is messy. I'm already fucking up my resolution. I can't say this guy's name. Murtazaliev. Bakram Murtazaliev. If you say it with confidence.
Gotta put a little sparkle on it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I mean, there's a lot of tough fights there that aren't unification fights. Or not title fights. He could get up there and get busy. But we'll see what he does, man. We'll see what he does. What else we got in the news? What other fights are in the orbit?
So speaking of not in your weight class, Turkey wants to throw this 147-pound tournament for a bunch of fighters who have never fought at 147 pounds, as far as I can, which is he wants to have Ryan Garcia fight Rolly Romero, which they've effectively announced.
Yes.
That's got to be a 140, right? Not a 147. They're calling it what? And then they wants to have on the same card Devin Haney versus Jose Ramirez, and then winner fights winner, loser fights loser.
Hell yeah,
that's pretty wild. As much as I don't, I mean, Rolly he got it back. He's coming off a win, but I don't necessarily want to see Rolly in there with Ryan Garcia.
I mean, before the Haney fight, I think I wasn't the only person saying that Garcia was not at the high level, that he was on the Rolly Romero level, that he was on track to end up being an influencer boxer with his way he was acting outside of the ring and his antics and stuff. But then he went in there and took care of business in the fight that never was.
Yeah.
Which
I still say you got to watch that fight back and score it round by round.
Yeah, I haven't rewatched it. Obviously I remember all the knockdowns and the terrible defense and the shoulder back turning.
Yeah.
That Garcia was doing.
Haney looks a lot better in the replay of that fight, in my opinion.
Yeah.
It aged better for him.
Okay.
It ends up looking like 3 lucky punches.
Well, talk about Turkey here. This sounds like this could be some random Instagrammer's like dream fight scenario, and only him and his buddies would be talking about it. But because Turkey's talking about it, now we're actually entertaining it as a reality. Because all of a sudden, well, he could make it happen because he's got the bankroll, and it's like he's like a kid with a dream and enough money to make it happen.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn. I mean, I would definitely watch that card, and the press conferences are going to be interesting to see how they interact. And both guys should win those fights. Clearly, set up the rematch.
I mean, I love the idea.
Is it a rematch? Can they call it a rematch? Will it be Haney Garcia 2 if number 1 is wiped from the record? It's just going to be.
It's the first fight. Yeah, AKA the 7th fight, right? Because split in 3 in the amateurs.
That's some kind of like Back to the Future shit, man.
These guys will have fought the most number of times for having it not count. 6 times in the amateurs didn't count. 1 time in the pros didn't count.
And 1 time in the streets is where it only is the only time it counts.
But this is what I like about it is you got 2 guys that need to fight. Everyone knows Ryan Garcia, Devin Haney have to fight, but they can't for whatever reason get the fight done. Maybe they both want tune-ups, especially Haney, who's been out of the ring now for a little bit after that. It was last April, right? Okay, put them on a card together, but with effectively tune-up fights or like easier fights that you can get made with a second fight obligation that if they both win, they fight next. It's a way to like build towards the fight that you want and get an interim fight. Plus, if you could put a date on it, that would be great. Like, okay, 90 days after this fight, 120 days after this fight, the winners fight the winner.
Right.
Like you already have it lined up.
Yeah.
And what if you projected that out? Now you got effectively a tournament bracket. So like I'm going to schedule 6 cards and all the fighters on these cards are locked in 120 days later to fight the winner of these other fights, and it's all pegged out.
Man, I mean, right? in a perfect world, but
in
how
Turkey world,
in the Turkey town, but you know how these fighters are. Control is everything. The fighters and their handlers, they have to exert so much control over the situation that I don't think everybody's gonna buy into that.
But you just sit them down one at a time and say, all right, listen, I'm going to have you fight Rolly Romero. If you win against Rolly Romero, I'm going to have you fight Devin Haney. If you win against Devin Haney, I'm going to have you fight Boots Ennis at 147. This is your 3-fight deal, and you're going to get paid $20 million for the first fight, 50 for the second one, and 75 for the third. And you're like, holy shit, okay, yeah.
And what happens if I lose?
Then if you lose against Rolly, then I'm going to have you fight Jose Ramirez. And if you lose against Jose Ramirez, I'm going to have you fight.
And the pay scale goes down.
And it goes down. Yeah. But even the down, is higher than you're probably going to be able to get on your own moving.
Yeah.
And it's just, this is your next 18 months right here. It's locked in.
I think you and I are really similar in the fact that we like life to be organized, and we have things like really, dialed in our personal lives, with whatever, I eat the same thing. I have this, I have a workout routine, crumpets and tea, man.
Yeah.
I have a workouts that are planned in advance. I have everything. I don't just float around with the wind, and just hope things work out. And I think you and I are similar in that way. And we like to see boxing be organized in that way. But man, it's like herding kittens with all these different fighters with this disorganization. And then you also have to take into account the potential for an injury.
True.
Inside or outside of camp, in the fight, and, wherever it's at. There was an MMA fight that got called off because the guy tweaked his back on the Aerodyne, bike.
Right.
And fucking like pulled a muscle in his back, cutting weight for the fight.
It'll always
Anything can happen. So
it'll always happen. I'm just highlighting a potential way that boxing could become more organized like the UFC. And this is a pretty rare format, right?
Yeah.
A tournament with 2 fighters that you want to see on fighting different people, and then they're bound to fight each other at the end of it. And
they've done tournaments before in the past. They had the World Boxing Super Series.
Yep. I mean, this is where Usyk really made his mark.
Usyk came out of there. Andre Ward won the middleweight version of that years ago. And those were super entertaining and fun. I don't know who was behind that, but it was great. And I think they can use that format again. Hopefully they do. Hopefully this is the beginning of something like that.
Yeah, I think
and normalize this a little bit more. But now these fighters in this weight class, I think that's a little weird. Like you said, they've never competed there before. It's clearly Garcia is going to be comfortable at 147. Rolly's a little small for that.
I mean, his power was all at 130. Even moving up to 135, and then 140 with Cruz, that was brutal.
Yeah,
and that was against another 130 to 35 pounder,
another blowing up guy. Yeah, so we'll see about that, bro. We'll see about that. But that Haney Garcia collision course is gonna have to happen.
Yeah,
it's gonna be another mega event. We're gonna have to deal with all the fucking bullshit again.
I love it. I can't wait.
Can't wait.
I'm all about it.
Okay.
Well, the IBF has ordered a final title eliminator in the heavyweight division, and I want to ask you a trivia question to tease this out. What boxer, professional boxer, has the fastest victory in boxing history?
What professional boxer has the fastest victory in boxing history?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds like a bar. Victory in history. So we're talking about, obviously, somebody run up on somebody and dropped him right away. Now, I know the answer to this question.
You do.
And I know this is the opponent for Deontay Wilder. Because homeboy fucking got out the ring as soon as the bell rang. And that made it a loss.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what's his name?
Who was it?
It's like Wilson or Williams. Or...
You're talking about the guy that left the ring.
Yes.
Yeah, but who won? Who registered the fastest victory?
Jagbe.
There you go.
Your man.
Damn, that's why you're the coach. I thought there was zero chance you were about to get
Jagbe.
that.
Yeah, now I got the T on that shit, though. You know why a dude walked out?
Look at this. He's got the T on it. Are y'all listening to this man slip into colonialism, into the British Empire? This is very disturbing.
Man.
You say the juice.
The juice. I got the juice.
Okay, what is it?
You know why he did that? Not because he was scared to fight.
Yeah, it was okay.
It was a contractual dispute,
right?
And they changed the shit in the locker room, and they said, "Nah, bro, something." I don't know the exact
numbers.
He
walked out of the ring,
but it was if you don't hear the first bell, then you don't get paid.
Right.
So he got his money.
Yeah.
But he didn't follow through because there was some kind of contractual problem, and so I don't. But it's still a terrible clip to be involved in.
It's hilarious.
It looks like something out of a fucking movie, but yes, one without a punch.
He got the dub, fastest in history, and now the IBF has ordered Efe Ajagba in a final eliminator to fight Martin Bakole.
Ooh,
that's a wild fight.
Ooh,
I thought Bacole's trainer came out and said some cold shit. He was like, Jared Anderson would beat Efe Ajagba by knockout. Which, after watching what Bakole did to Jared Anderson, is about the most disrespectful thing you can say to your opponent.
Yeah, man. Wow. Okay, well, now we'll get a chance to see if Bakole is really this boogeyman, because right now he's like the world champion of sparring.
Right.
And then, of course, he did this, irreversible damage to Anderson.
Yeah.
Which you got to see live in person, man. I mean, it was outdoors and shit.
It was rough.
But you could probably still, feel those punches from across the fucking field.
It was very rough.
Yeah. What'd you think about, you've been to quite a few pro fights now, but the way punches sound in real life for fans who don't make it out to the fights.
Yeah.
It shit hits different when it's in person.
I always wonder if you were at some of the COVID fights when there's no audience, no noise, and all you just hear is because even over the noise, the one thing I was actually thinking this last night watching the fights, we were pretty close. Damn, man, we need a cough button. This guy's got pneumonia.
I still got some remnants.
He's got black lung
I
coming out of the mines.
Dude, I went to a castle out there.
Yeah.
I think maybe that's where I got that fucking black lung at. I got the British death, the London fog in my lungs.
Yeah, you got the plague, brother.
I might have the plague.
This is rough. I hope your opponent in February is listening to this. Getting a fucking cocky.
But I'm still fighting through it, man. I sparred the other day. I can take care of business.
Yeah.
I just need to...
Got no doubt.
Yeah, but you were saying...
What was I saying? What was I talking about?
Before you started talking all that shit.
I was saying something really important.
Yeah, mostly. And then I started coughing.
No one cares.
Nobody cares.
No one cares. Punches and Punches Live. I was thinking that sitting ringside of that. it's the kind of torso shot where you kind of whip around the guard, around like if someone's in a high guard and you whip around the elbow and you just hit him, which I think is among the less impactful places to get hit. I mean, you're braced for it. Presumably, you're kind of expecting to get hit there, but it's the loudest.
Yeah, body punches are super loud. Well, and also, sometimes a slapping punch.
And that's it, because you're stretching to go behind the elbow.
Yeah.
Right?
So maybe your forearm kind of hits as well.
So every time it happens, you hear the crowd.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that wasn't a punch?
Sometimes two guys will throw like a right hand at the same time and their biceps will collide. And it makes this really loud slap and it sounds like somebody got hit, but nobody even got hit.
Right.
You're like, what the fuck was that? Sometimes a slapping punch with like, the palm and make a lot of noise. But, I'm imagining a Martin Boccoli punch makes some noise. I mean, it sounds like a car crash.
Yeah. We were close but far. Because we weren't like the ring, there was like 20 rows of like, but below the ring, like at the ring level. And then there's like Stadium 1. And we were like the second or third row in Stadium 1. And it was still loud as hell. And it was also just the most violent thing I've seen in person. Like because Boccoli, like if you remember, he's just like kind of a statue and like he doesn't really move, but he's fast and he just pop, like uppercut, snap Jared's like head back and he falls out of the ring. And I mean, it was violent. It was rough to watch.
So how do you think this plays out with Ajagba?
Honestly, I want to go back and watch more of Ajagba's fights. I mean, Ajagba is not that big.
Yeah.
Get it out, brother.
I got this. Dude, this shit right here from London. It's called Bronco Stop. Bronco, like bronchitis or something. I don't got bronchitis.
Okay.
But this shit works wonders. Bronco Stop.
But he's I'm looking it up right now. He's 6'6". He's fighting at around 235. So he's like Deontay Wilder-esque. 20 wins, 14 KOs, 1 loss. Lost to Frank Sanchez, I believe. Never been stopped. I don't know. I don't know enough about Boccoli. Like you said, everyone just is giving him so many props for beating effectively like a prospect.
Yeah, a protected prospect.
Right.
Overprotected prospect. Yeah, but he said he's done all this in sparring. I dropped this guy, I beat up that guy. They're scared to spar me. He said he beat up Tyson Fury in sparring.
I mean, he's going to have 60 pounds more weight.
Yeah.
Because he's fighting damn near 300 pounds. But, I mean, I don't know. You look over his resume, like, does he have a signature win? He took a loss to Michael Hunter. I mean, is Jared Anderson his best win?
Oh, yeah, no doubt.
So, okay.
So your best win is what I just call it a overprotected prospect.
Yeah, right. Like, this is a great fight. I'm excited to see this fight, but yeah, I don't favor one or the other right now.
What card is that going to be on?
These are all circling.
Oh,
these are all like none of this stuff is even out, So let's get into actual fights that are coming up next week, because we actually have a good schedule coming up in February. Stuff's going to start coming together, happening. Saturday all day, you got a morning card across the pond where you're from now. You fucking traitor.
Hometown.
It's a red coat. Adam Azim, Sergey Lipnitz. Decent fight. I really liked Azim's last fight. That was, put himself on the map as a lightweight prospect. He comes in as a minus 650 favorite in this. I'd favor him by stoppage personally.
Yeah. Sergey's been around for a long time, but he's definitely not in his prime.
Yeah, and I think Azim is definitely coming there and is someone to keep your eye on this in that weight division. And then Battle of the Davids. That night, we've got David Morrell versus David Benavidez. Benavidez coming in right now as a minus 75 favorite. But great odds on the stoppage, which I thought was really interesting. Benavidez by KO plus 330. So people are thinking this is going to go the distance.
Huh.
The under and the over-under is 10.5 rounds. The under 10.5 is plus 225.
Man, I mean, I could see this being a 7-8. That's usually when things start. If it goes that way, that's when things start going that way.
Yeah.
And Benavidez is not inexperienced with southpaws. He was just in there with Boo Boo.
True.
You know?
And the Fosdick is he's Orthodox, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
But he fought another southpaw, too, Benavidez, a few years ago. I don't remember his name. But, yeah, they're pretty hyped up for this. There seems to be some real shit-talking going on.
Yeah, they seem to not like each other, which I appreciate.
Yeah. Yeah, that's going to be a hell of a fight. I'm picking Benavidez. I think that he's just going to have that juggernaut ability to lose the first half of the fight and then dominate the second half of the fight and potentially stop him.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
This is another one of those fights similar to Keyshawn Davis, where, I like both fighters, but I feel like people overlook lackluster performances that were relatively recent. Like, Keyshawn just had an amazing performance his last fight and immediately gets a title shot, which is great. But the fight before that, we were both sitting here going like, man, he really struggled with like a journeyman that was supposed to be like a stepping stone, you know? And same with Morrell. I don't know. When I look at Morrell's, like, Vosdick, right, was his, or Klajdik. Hot Rod, right? See, we got to have a nickname in order to say the guy's fucking name. Like, he got the unanimous decision, but we thought, wow, maybe 175 is like a bit of a bigger step up than we thought. And this guy's a veteran, and he didn't really dominate it.
Yeah,
you know what I mean. That was another one. That was the same Jared Anderson fight. I watched that fight live, and then immediately after that, we think, okay, jump up to fight maybe the best fighter at 168 because they're both really 168ers.
I think the key to victory against Benavidez is you have to hurt him, and I don't see Morrell being able to hurt him in a substantial way.
Yeah.
You know, he might land a punch here and there, but, you know, if he couldn't put Hot Rod down, out, and gone, then he can't put Benavidez down, out, and gone, and then he can't win the fight. I mean, that's just how I see it playing out. Benavidez he's a 12-round champion. He's going to just grind you down, walk through whatever you think you're going to do, let you box your balls off, just like he did to Caleb Plant, and then say, okay, you done dancing? Because it's time to die. And he's just going to rip you up, you know? I see him losing the early rounds because Morrell can box. He's a southpaw. He's long. He can dance. He can move. He's confident, but, you know, it's not a 4-rounder. It's not a 6-rounder. It's a 12-round championship fight at 175 pounds, where Benavidez is going to be really comfortable with the weight. And, man, you see him you see his press pictures for this one?
Mm-hmm.
He looks like a triangle, dude.
Yeah.
Like, you know, he's just like, he's never been muscularly defined, but at this weight class, it's even more apparent that, you know, and now Morrell's calling him fat boy and shit in the pre-fight build-up videos.
Yeah.
Oh, we would have picked on, so, you know, we would have, you know, where I'm from, a fat boy like him would never made it and shit. I'm like, damn, bro, that's the wrong thing to be saying right now, because that's what fueled this dude's entire life, his entire career.
Yeah.
To come up out of nothing and now have this career and this financial success, and you're like, you're gonna try to bring that shit up right now? I don't think that's a smart idea.
Also, like, sure, man, yeah, he's doughier than you would expect, but it doesn't seem to matter. Like, you know, he looked doughy at 168, and he was just absolutely walking fools down, dropping them, never gassed out. Like,
speaking of doughy, you watched some heavyweights last night?
Oh my God, that one boy, that was impressive.
I think he hit the scale about 268.
That
yeah.
I was tripping out. I was turning to Haley, and I was like, me and that dude have the exact same legs. Like, from the waist down, so we're built the exact same.
He fought in the amateurs at like 165.
That's crazy.
So he's just put on that weight as an adult. It's just like, I don't know the guy personally. I don't really have any problems with it or nothing. But just, you know, looking at it, like, there's definitely been some weight gain.
Hey, he.
But that's why he can move fast.
He was moving well. He was
move,
hitting.
I'm watching him warm up, and I caught a little bit of the fight as I'm checking on the time, and we were on deck waiting to go out at that point. So I'm peeking around the corner. He's got little hopping gazelle hooks. He can move explosively.
I thought he looked good. I thought it was a closer fight than the scorecards said as well.
Yeah. I thought that, you know, that was a close one for sure from what I saw. I'm happy the guy won who won. That guy who won, that's who Big John went 4 times with in the amateurs.
Oh, nice. Okay.
And that was his pro debut. So I'm familiar with him.
Good for him.
Sarah, he's a nice guy. I'm happy to see him win his debut. and have a tough fight in his debut too. Like I'm always saying, don't give these guys easy touches, because they're gonna get this false confidence that they can go out there and hurt, run people over, and then they'll end up being the one getting run over. But yes, man, big bodies. Just because you got a big soft body doesn't mean you can't punch. Doesn't mean you can't box. Doesn't mean you can't whoop somebody's ass.
And I'm through betting against David Benavidez. I mean, I made that after he fought Boo Boo, and I was like, man, I don't know. Andrade is like got quite a lot of boxing skill. I think he's gonna find a way. And I was like, Benavidez is kind of there to get hit. And after that fight, I was like, no, this dude has. Obviously, we know insane offense, crazy motor, punches from bunches, all this stuff. But he has sneaky defense.
Yeah,
and he works it in there with his offense. Like, I'm just done betting against David Benavidez.
Yeah, no, I agree. I think it'll be a good fight. I think he'll probably lose the early rounds and then win the back half of the fight.
So would you be more inclined to take Benavidez by KO plus 330 or the under 10.5? Because maybe Morrell gets it done. I mean, Morrell is, 9 stoppages in 11 fights?
Remember now, after the fight with Vosdick, which was his most recent fight, right?
Mm-hmm.
He said he had hurt his hand.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if that hand isn't fully healed, we're probably not going to see a stoppage.
Interesting. But that was a while ago.
And I've been seeing the videos. He's been pounding on the mitts hard. And Andre Ward went down there with his video crew, and he was like, "You don't got to punch hard all the time. You got to set things up." He's kind of giving him some coaching advice. So that means he's throwing bombs on the mitts. Probably means his hand is healed.
I mean, it was 7 months ago that he fought Fosdick.
Okay.
So you got to think it's healed up.
Yeah. Okay. So then, yeah, I mean, a stoppage potential here is high, very high.
Benavidez by KO.
By KO, under 10.5. Stack those two bets on top of each other and cross your fingers.
Parlay 'em. Okay.
Yeah, parlay that.
Also on this fight, on that card, Brandon Figueroa, Stephen Fulton rematch from their 2021 fight.
Yeah.
It's a good fight.
Moved up in weight. Rematch at a higher weight class.
Mm-hmm.
That favors both fighters. Fulton's going to try to get his get back after being on the wrong end of the Inoue knockout.
Yeah. And looking pretty lackluster in his last fight. Right?
Oh, I forgot he had another one.
Yeah, remember? Wasn't it like it was just way too close? Should have been like a walk in the park, and it was like way too close.
Shit, yeah, man. I forgot about that one.
Yeah.
Damn.
So I don't know. That's
Come on, cool boy. Bring it back. Get back on track. Well, Figueroa's no easy fight, man. It's going to be...
I maybe favor him again just because, like, fought Carlos Castro, that was in September, and he got knocked down. I mean, he was favored by, like, whatever, minus 1,000 plus. Got knocked down in the 5th round, came back, won a split decision. And it's like, okay, well, Figueroa, I mean, get his get back. Fulton squeaked by him the first time with a majority decision. So I will look at where the plus money is. And honestly, this is maybe one of those 50-50 fights where I bet you anything it's favored the wrong way. It's favored strongly one way when it probably shouldn't be.
Right.
And so you just put your money on whoever plus money is.
Yeah. I think it's going to be a close, tough fight. And with the extra weight on their bodies and the time, I think. And what's happened in the interim, I think does favor Figueroa.
Oh, here you go. Figueroa is favored minus 170.
Okay.
So maybe take Fulton plus 135.
Yeah. I mean, I'd like to see him do it. He's a very likable guy.
Yeah.
And I'd like to see him get back on track.
Also on this card, Isaac Pitbull Cruz comes back against Angel Fierro.
Right, Cruz Fierro. Okay, Cruz trying to get his get back too, trying to make everybody forget about the Rayo shutout that he experienced.
Mm-hmm.
Man, what a great performance! One of my favorite most recent times. From a local kid.
Good fight. And then, on the prelims, Kermel Moten.
Yeah, Kermel. Last time I checked, they hadn't announced an opponent.
This says Frank Zaldivar.
Yeah, well, I got actually some updates on local boxing and this card when the local world collides with the big top. Local fighter Joe Aguilar, who you've seen fight before on our local shows.
Mm-hmm.
He's a sparring partner of ours. I actually known him for a long time. He was on an early version of the podcast when I tried to do sit-down interviews before we got our mojo going in here in the studio. Joe Aguilar, the showstopper. Great guy. Known him since the amateurs. He took a fight, and he'll be fighting on the undercard.
Of this fight?
Of this fight.
Really?
T-Mobile Arena. So shout outs to him and his coach JC. We'll be watching you boys and taking care of business. He signed on for a tough fight. Ain't gonna lie, he's in there against a guy who's part of the money team, 7-0, 7 KOs, trains right next to Cormel Moten. So they took the short notice, tough fight. That's what boxing's all about. And you go in there and shock the world, kid. Joe's done it before in his own way. He went over to Omaha and beat the hometown guy to a draw. Beat him to a draw. I say beat him to a draw because that's the best thing you can do in that situation. When the judges in the local and they're, fuck, man, okay, we got to give him the draw.
Right.
That's fucking awesome, dude.
Damn.
So, he knows how to show up and he doesn't go down. It reminds me of another fighter from around here back in the day, Sean G. He got to fight. He lost some fights or got some draws, but that dude was tough and never went down. And, I'd like to see Joe put on a great performance here under these bright lights and elevate his career because, anybody from the hometown, we're trying to see him do everything they can do, even when they're brave enough to take a tough fight like this,
Yeah, I see he's fighting John Easter.
John Easter, yeah.
John Easter, whose nickname is the Candyman. So, not necessarily striking fear into the hearts of us Oregonians.
I don't know, man. You seen that movie?
Yeah, I've seen the movie. I'm not impressed. This guy's sweet. If you ask me, he's sweet. Yeah, you can only do that because you have pneumonia. You better enjoy that while you can. Shout out Joe. Good for him. I'll be watching.
I'm not sure if it's on the televised portion. I'm not sure how Amazon Prime does their prelims. If they do it on YouTube or if they have it streaming for free before they go to the paid portion.
They should just put it all out there. Why not?
In other local news, Dedrick Crocklin, pro debut, the kid I told you signed with Top Rank. Mm-hmm. He got his pro debut up the road at the Emerald Queen a couple weeks ago. Second round knockout.
There you go.
Off to the races.
There you go.
Yeah, so it's good to see, local boxing kicking off. All the guys taking care of business. Good news for everybody. And good news for boxing, I love this shit, man.
I would love for Washington to be a boxing hub just because there's no tax. One of the few places. Because I always think about this when dudes want to fight. Like people are like, oh, I want to fight in New York. I'm like, oh, because you just want to give 12% of your purse away? Like, this is why people fight in Vegas. But hey, we got Washington right here.
Huh. Yeah, I don't know about all that business side of
Dude,
it. Like
they're
that.
just snatching your money right there. That's money earned in that state.
Well, the Emerald Queen Casino previously had been a very well-established boxing place. They'd have HBO shows there. Sergey Kovalev fought there.
It's nice. It's a legit nice spot.
This was back before it used to be so nice. They completely rebuilt the stadium like a few years ago. It used to be on the other side of the freeway down the road a little bit, and it was like this weird A-frame building. Like that's the first time I ever worked a corner was at the old building back in 2016 or something like that.
When you say worked a corner, it definitely sounds like you were a prostitute, just so you know.
Oh, fuck. I never...
That was the first time I ever worked a corner. Like, damn, all right, go. No, this is a safe place, It's okay.
Oh, man. I didn't ever put that together, man. I'm a corner man.
Yeah, now you just sound like you're selling crack.
Yeah, I'm a corner man. Catch me in the corner.
Catch me in the corner.
Catch me on the corner. Working.
Entering all your orifices, making sure.
Wow, bro. Damn. Yeah, but yes, that would be great. Now, they got this new casino up there, Ilani. And they're starting to do MMA fights. So promoters are trying to move in on that and make that a boxing location. That'd be great. Brand new, nice venue, 30 minutes from home.
Yep. This is where we're going to do our first when we become promoters,
Yeah. Oh, but quick note about this Brian Easter fella. Now, it looks like a tough fight. It's going to be a tough fight. Mm-hmm. But you check his box rec. He did the Big Punch Arena circuit down in Mexico and went down south and got some wins down there. So when you see a guy steamrolling 7 people in a row, you got to wonder who he steamrolled, right? So that that's just a quick note about what I always talk about. If you want to build
one stateside fight,
if you want to build a fighter, you got to build him properly.
Which was in Minneapolis.
So I think this is going to be his toughest fight because he's fighting a tough fighter who's had tough fights, who has not gone and built his career down in Mexico. Okay.
Yeah, he's also he's fought one person with a winning record.
Yeah.
He fought 2 people for their debut. Third person he fought was 3-22.
Yeah, see, that's what I mean. Now, I'm not saying every Mexican fighter ain't nice, but Mexico's a place where the commissions allow you to make matchups such as that.
A lot of working dudes.
A lot of working dudes. Yeah. The Oregon Commission will not approve a fight with that much of a discrepancy in experience, no matter how many losses the guy has.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? That doesn't matter. You know, they've questioned us before. We had a pro debut fighter against a guy who had like 12 fights, and the commission who makes the decision was like, we need to make sure this is going to be okay, and we had to make it clear that our debuter was a nationally ranked amateur, who was going to be able to handle himself, because it doesn't matter if the guy you're fighting lost half his fights.
They're still composed. They have experience,
and they know it's like a lot of tricks. Like we saw Rob Diesel, the doctor, fight last night.
Yeah.
That guy's had 25 fights. He's lost a few of them, more than a few of them. But through the course of losing, you're also learning. You're going to learn things to frustrate a young fighter. And frankly, and Rob didn't do this at all, but sometimes you see these old, experienced fighters, they know some dirty tricks.
Right.
And you got to be careful putting a young fighter in there who doesn't know how to handle these tricks.
Right.
You see headbutts, elbows, controls, pins, trips.
Mm-hmm.
We can't be having that. I was working the corner as an assistant. Working the corner. I was doing my thing on the corner, with Mike McMillan.
As an assistant, so you were pimping now.
And Mike was doing this rope-a-dope thing, and his opponent from Idaho, who was a former Golden Gloves champion himself like 16 years ago, he started leaning in with his head, and I'm screaming and yelling, watch that head, watch that head. And I'm communicating to the referee just as much as I'm communicating to the fighter that there's a potential headbutt about to happen here. Because when I'm working the cut for a fight, I don't look at the fight. I'm staring at the fighter's face that I'm corner cut man for. I'm just looking at his face the whole time. And when the heads come together, I'm like, oh shit. Like I'm watching for the head to come apart, and the head, and watch the head. You know who was in the referee? It was a referee named Joel Scobie. He's been around forever. He's WBC ranked. He's a world championship referee, one of the best that we've ever had the pleasure to work with. And I've gotten to know him a little bit. He likes my cornerman cut jacket with all my patches on it. And he asked me something last night. You won't believe it. We get to talking, and he's like, hey, you want a Riyadh season patch? I got an extra one. It looked nice on your jacket. I was like, you damn right I do. I got to get on that turkey team. So in a couple weeks, I'm going to go meet up with him down at a different card, and he's going to give me the patch.
He's going to bring you a patch.
He's going to bring me a patch.
So basically, if I can take the liberty of announcing on the show, we are sponsored by Riyadh Season.
100% sponsored.
That's Boxing Podcast is
Yes,
now
sir.
sponsored. So yeah, when does the check come?
Yeah.
When does it clear?
I think he can afford to just pay for our entire existence.
I really feel like they should sponsor us. I did that little promo thing for him down there,
Yes, you did.
and then now you got a patch.
Yeah. I'll be
we're-
wearing a patch in the corner.
Who else are they going to sponsor?
I mean, we're the best podcast
As soon
on the
as
planet.
we challenge and fight and beat Inside Boxing Live, then it's over. Then we're the #1 boxing podcast platform.
East versus West. East versus West.
So many
is-
good narratives.
And there's a lot
Good
going on
versus
there.
evil.
Yeah.
Smart
Quality
versus-
less than quality.
Versus less than quality.
Yeah.
Pneumonia versus functioning bronchial tubes.
Nepotism versus,
Ooh,
true from the streets,
that
working
hurts.
class heroes.
That hurts.
Yeah.
One day we're gonna call up that voicemail line and just start talking that shit.
That'd be so funny, dude.
We could do it. I think we could do it.
Yeah,
I think Dan's got 20 pounds on me, but I think I could take him out.
you could take him, man. You got the punch and power.
then
You
gotta
just
fight.
got to get him out of there in like 48 seconds before you start.
Before I gas the
getting
fuck
gassed
out. Yeah.
And
One too many black and milds. But you fight the world champion. I think I put money on you. You got reach. You know? Don't sell yourself short.
I'm not saying I wouldn't spar the guy.
Yeah, just spar him for podcast supremacy in front of millions.
Yeah, sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's no problem.
No
Yeah,
problem.
You'll be good.
No problem at all. I would have the weight advantage and the reach advantage.
Probably. What are you weighing right now?
$165.
He's got to be around there.
Buck
I mean,
67.
he was fighting at 147.
It's true.
So
yeah.
walk around has got to be close.
Yeah. I don't know. I'd take him out.
You take him out. I believe in you.
I'd take him out.
I believe in you fully.
Just stick that jab on him.
Yep. And then time for tea and crumpets. Well, we won't leave you alone ever again. We promise. We'll be back after to recap the fights upcoming this Saturday.
Yeah,
But
man. We'll be back on our weekly schedule. Keep your eyes out on the podcast. Keep your ears open. Like, follow, listen, and spread the word.
And
That's
look-
boxing.
Look for our picks. Until next time, I'm Dust.
I'm Coach.
And that's boxing.